No sudden movements. If you do not subscribe within the next 30 seconds, I will unprivate all of his videos prior to 2012.
All right, y'all. Welcome back to Common Arms channel. Yeah, that was pretty intense. Not gonna lie. I know he was making some pretty big threats, and luckily we didn't get to that. I know he was kind of forcing y'all to subscribe or else, but I'm just glad we dodged that bullet. If you guys did subscribe, I mean, you know, no sense in unsubscribing. It's kind of in the past at this point. We're moving past it, but yeah, I'm glad those old videos didn't get out because that would have been pretty bad. All right, but today we're reacting to something pretty different. I gotta say, this one's definitely going to be interesting. So I'm sure you guys have all seen Detroit Urban Survival Training at some point, but I'm gonna try and go into this video with an open mind because they are discussing something called the V-shield technique, which looks like a sort of carry technique for your pistol whenever you're sort of maneuvering around a building or something, or maybe clearing out a room. Yeah, I've seen a short already, and we're going to check out that short as well after this video. But yeah, I'm just going to try and go in with an open mind because I don't know, maybe we'll learn something. Maybe they'll have some good points. And I mean, you got to think there's been some tactics where people are like, that's pretty stupid. And now it's kind of like commonplace, like even pieing off. When I was early in the Marine Corps, people didn't really like pieing off. They didn't like going in front of the doorway without actually going straight into the room. So, you know, tactics advance. So maybe we'll see some advancement, or I don't know, maybe some ingenuity with these tactics here. But yeah, I'm interested. Open mind. Let's get into it. Oh man, just look at that still frame right there.
Detroit Urban Survival Training. This is not the V-shield that we teach. This is what is commonly taught in conjunction with the Sewell position to defend your weapon against someone trying to grab your weapon. So from here, from the Sewell.
Okay, so he's already showing something that I have done plenty of times, and I've heard it called different things, but we called it the safety circle, which is basically the Beretta just coming out of nowhere. But it's basically when you take your thumbs and kind of interlock them, and it's basically like a safety circle. So if your weapon goes dry, like your primary rifle goes dry or something's messed up with it, and you're kind of maneuvering around with your pistol, this was a technique that we used to kind of just keep the muzzle in a generally safe direction. And if we needed to utilize it, we can kind of just punch it out like that. So that's something we do use a lot, and it's something you'll see all the time. But he's talking about this V-shield. So I'm curious what he's using the V-shield for. It makes it sound like it's to defend the weapon from somebody who's trying to grab it, which, okay. Okay, let's check it out.
If someone was to grab or attempt to grab the weapon, officers are taught to use this elbow to block them off in the situation where they don't want to shoot the person. What we teach is that your arm is above the barrel. It's clear, so nothing's in front of it. You're not flagging your arm. Your weapon's here. It's hidden from sight. And if...
Okay, so again, it depends on the experience level of the people that you're trying to teach this. But even for experienced people like myself, I would not feel comfortable putting my elbow anywhere near this muzzle. I mean, again, you're just trying to defend it. You kind of have to create a separation when you're doing something like this. Like, I'm not going to be engaging from this position right here because, yeah, it's gonna be bad news. But he's saying officers are taught to defend with their elbow. Again, I'm not like I've never been a police officer necessarily in that sort of regard, but I've never been trained to just use like my elbow. I mean, it makes sense, I guess, to kind of keep someone at bay. But I mean, I'm gonna go full arm's distance. I'm pretty cognizant of where my muzzle is facing, so I'm comfortable going full arm's distance and engaging from here. We have practiced the index fire a lot, which is basically when you take the weapon and kind of tuck it back here while you're pushing somebody back. I've done that plenty of times, and I've been taught that in a few different courses. So that's what I'm most comfortable with. But yeah, I don't know. If you guys are a police officer and you've been taught to do that, then let me know down below.
Police were to look through your window of your home or if a Good Samaritan was to see you, they wouldn't think you're a threat. And no one would shoot you because they don't see a weapon. This also includes when you're at your business. Very important is to avoid getting shot because someone looked inside the window. And Good Samaritans, unfortunately, this happens, as well as law enforcement officers believing the person they're seeing through the window is not the business owner. And unfortunately, that leads to avoidable shootings.
Yeah, so this is definitely kind of a concern for like even concealed carry holders when, if it does come down to it in a sort of active shooter situation where you do need to take out your pistol and actually engage a threat, you want to be sure that you're also having the situational awareness to take that tactical pause and identify if the person or whatever you're about to engage is actually a threat. And this goes for, especially like if there's like an area where there's a lot of concealed carry holders, you need to be able to have that tactical patience to be able to evaluate if somebody's actually a threat before you go engaging it. And you can usually tell based off of their demeanor, if they're kind of like looking around or trying to look for someone and they're not just actively trying to shoot innocent people, then you can probably assume they're a good guy. But yeah, you can't necessarily count on everybody having that tactical patience, especially when the adrenaline is going crazy. So, I mean, generally speaking, when you're taking the pistol out or whatever weapon you're taking out, when you're taking it out, you're about to use it or you're getting ready to use it in, probably the next minute or so. So hopefully there's not too big of a window, where you're taking out the weapon, engaging the threat, and then scanning and putting it away. Hopefully there's not too big of a window so you're not having a bunch of people coming on the scene kind of having to evaluate themselves.
So your weapon is here, it's hidden under your arm. The barrel is clear, but no one can see it until they need to. And if you need to take the shot, you would simply go here and shoot there. And your weapon is here. To go two hands, you simply bring it forward. So from here, it's still clear. There's nothing in front of the barrel. It's right on top of the slide, so you can't see it. And if there was contact with law enforcement at your home or business, as you were thinking that you were in danger and you were checking your area, you were clearing your home or your business, even though you shouldn't, you should always call 911 and wait for the police if you can.
I don't know about that one. I mean, it depends on what you have and how comfortable you are with going after the threat, I guess. If you ask a lot of people in the military, especially a lot of Marines, they're absolutely going to take it upon themselves. But yeah, I get what he's saying. It's safer to let the police do it if that's what you want to do, if that's what you're comfortable doing. But honestly, I'm thinking if I was a police officer, if I was just anyone coming on a scene where I know that there was like an active shooter, if I see somebody like kind of doing something like this, it's really odd. Like if there's an active shooter situation, you're not going to see somebody like kind of tucking their arms like this. And police and even just, kind of CQB teams in general, they're trained to identify the hand. So when they see somebody like this and they can't see the hand, the dude's still going to look like a threat. Like a bad guy trying to like walk off the scene or what have you, who's ready to do this, like that's definitely a possibility as well. So I don't necessarily think police are just going to be like, oh yeah, he's kind of just doing this. He probably doesn't have a gun or anything, or I'm not going to engage him. If they're antsy enough, then there's a possibility they might still engage. But it's going to come down to the police officer to, again, sort of have that tactical patience to evaluate and make sure something is a threat or not. But I don't think I would recommend doing something like this because I think this is just as suspicious as somebody that's just openly carrying a gun and not showing the demeanor or what have you.
But in the event that you decided to do so, here's something for you to consider for your safety, and that is to keep your weapon hidden from sight, under your arm, barrel clear, nothing in front of it. Therefore, if you did see police, you would simply tuck it here and put your hands up slowly and calmly and letting them know that you are armed. This is very important because people are literally being shot as they're trying to put the gun back, fumbling in the holster, or sometimes they're just standing there trying to talk to the arriving law enforcement officers trying to explain their situation. When another officer doesn't see that, all they see is what looks like a person in confrontation with officers while holding a gun. This has caused many people to be shot, and unfortunately, even some undercover officers have been shot this way.
Yeah, so I can't really determine the validity of what he's saying. It'd be nice if there was like a source or something or like a case study. But I know I have seen at least one video on YouTube where there was a dude who had his handgun out to protect himself, and he ended up getting shot by the responding police because they didn't know who the bad guy was or not. So it is definitely a concern. However, again, I don't think like doing this, if you can do it quickly, then it might work out. But I don't know. I mean, I don't see the purpose. If you're actively scanning for a threat, I'm not going to be worried about the police. If I hear sirens or what have you, I'm going to be like, okay, sweet, there's police coming, but there's still a bad guy out there somewhere. So if I'm like in my store and I know there's still a shooter somewhere inside the store, I'm not going to be doing this. I'm going to be getting ready to, oh crap, he's popping out. Let me, actually fully extend, as opposed to trying to engage from like this or something. Cause it's just, yeah, it's just really awkward to kind of shoot like this. And again, if there's still a threat out there and there's still a threat out there, you're going to want to be ready for that threat. That's what I'm concerned about. I'm worried about self-preservation. I'm not necessarily worried about how I look to somebody else. I mean, hopefully they'll be able to have the tactical patience to make that determination, but I want to put myself in a better position to defend myself, as opposed to, kind of worrying about how other people are seeing me.
So it's imperative, in order to avoid accidental shootings, it's imperative for you to remember to think of everything you're ever seeing in three ways: a positive, a neutral, and negative. What's a positive reason that a person is standing there with a gun talking to police? Well, it could be an undercover officer. It could be a citizen that is telling an officer what happened and
probably
the shootout he was just in to
pretty
protect himself
safe.
and his family. This is what you should consider before taking any kind of action, that there could be a positive reason and a neutral reason before there's a negative reason. And of course, the negative reason should also be considered as you take appropriate action based on the information that you find by looking deeply into the situation. So you don't ignore it, but you also...
I mean, if the dude's talking to the police with a gun, I'm probably not going to shoot him. I mean, if he's talking and you're not shooting and he has a gun out, then probably not a threat. And if he is a threat, the police probably would have perforated him at that point. But I don't think the scenario that he's painting is necessarily like the best one for kind of what he's trying to demonstrate. I can't come up with a great example just because I can't see the utility of this right now. I mean, there might be some situations where it might be warranted, but right now I can't. Again, I'm going to be more focused on self-preservation. If I know there's a bad guy with a gun out there, I'm going to go, not tunnel vision, but I'm going to focus on that to make sure that that's taken care of. Kind of like, when you're in combat, if you sustain a casualty, you want to make sure you're getting rid of the threat before you go and treat that individual, because you don't want to become a casualty yourself.
Consider that it could be a positive reason or neutral reason, not just a negative reason, and this will help you avoid a false positive. This will save your life and lives of others. This intelligent knowledge and information will increase your survivability.
All right. Okay, so I said we would watch a short, and we're about to do that right now. But again, I think it's just, you're better off just saying, before you engage someone, positively identify and make sure that that thing or that person, whatever, is a threat before you go engaging it. I think if everybody just has that tactical patience to make that evaluation, we're going to be a lot better off, as opposed to, trying to do these weird things where we're getting ready to shoot if we need to, but also concealing it, because, I mean, those things just don't really jive too well, especially when you're a police coming on the scene. Like, if I see somebody concealing a gun, we've kind of already talked about it, but yeah, so this is them kind of demonstrating it, I guess. So it's not how to properly clear. So I guess they gave that caveat, but it's how not to get shot while clearing your home or structure of criminals. Again, it depends on the weapon, but I'm going to be, you guys already saw the tactics, and I've explained my tactics. That's how I'm going to be clearing. I'm not going to be worried about police, probably because I haven't called the police, to be honest. But again, police do announce themselves. You will probably hear the sirens as well. You'll probably be able to tell if there's a cop or, like someone responding like that. Of course, you probably won't be able to tell with like a Good Samaritan or what have you, because they're not going to have a siren and they're probably not going to be announcing something, especially if there's still a threat out there. But yeah, with the police, you're probably going to know when they're there. You're probably going to know if they're responding to the building at that point.
Detroit was all training. Right?
I mean, you didn't pie it off, homie. You got, yeah, see right there, you're done anyway. So if this is a bad guy, I mean, this isn't going to be helping you either, but I'm just being judgy, I guess.
Detroit was all training. Right? I want to share with you how you can increase your survival when you're clearing a home or structure using your pistol and you encounter police or some other non-threatening target. In this case, you don't want to engage with them, so you want to make sure you always clear using the V-shield. That means your arm is here in a V.
Hell no. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm blatantly against this technique at this point. Again, I'm not worried about the police coming on the scene. I'll probably be able to tell that. But if there's a bad guy in, the structure or in my house, I'm going to go after him. I'm going to use the tactics I normally use to take down a threat. And, of course, I'm going to do my due diligence to assess and make sure that they're actually a target. But if it's a cop, I'm not going to be worried about getting shot by a cop. I'm going to be worried about getting shot by the bad guy.
And your weapon is not exposed, it's underneath. Now, there's nothing in front of the barrel, but it is over top. And what that means, when you come around the corner, even if there was a good guy there, a police officer in this case, you can see the man has a weapon pointing at me. I'm going to tuck the weapon here under my arm. It's tucked under, safely held here.
I'm sorry. This long drink is not helping.
And then my hands are up, and then I can announce who I am: security, or homeowner, or business owner. These are intelligent options which will increase your survivability.
I don't know about that. I really don't think so. I think it's very detrimental to people's survivability. I mean, think of yourself as a cop. So I'm a cop. I'm going into a building that I know there's a shooter or what have you, and I see somebody coming around the corner like this. I'm not going to be like, oh, it's a good Samaritan. He's using the what was it? Oh, it's a good Samaritan. He's using the V-shield technique. Like, oh, okay, no worries. I'm going to see some random dude who's in, civilian attire, kind of coming around a corner looking like this. It's going to sketch me out, and I'm going to be on edge. So, yeah, I don't think it's going to increase your survivability. I'm just being honest. What's going to increase your survivability is utilizing tactics to take down the threats. Again, that's what your priority is going to be. If you have a weapon out, you're going to take out, you're trying to go and take down a threat. You're taking this out because you have decided that deadly force is authorized in that situation. So you're going to be going after that threat to neutralize them because you've made that determination. And you want to just put yourself in a better position, utilize the tactics to increase your survivability. And again, not necessarily worry about how other people are perceiving how you're looking. But I got to say, with anything like CQB or even just like survivability in situations like this, there's not a whole lot of innovation that you see nowadays where somebody says something and, there's not a whole bunch of people judging it. So it might be in like 20 years that police are actually, or, in concealed carry classes, they're actually teaching something like this. I mean, I don't know. There's the case studies, I guess, will be able to help us determine if something is valid or not, or maybe scenario training. But for me personally, again, my priority is not going to be on how I'm being perceived. It's going to be on putting myself in a good position to identify and neutralize the threat. So I want to know what you guys think about this. Again, it's just one person's opinion, and we all know what they say about opinions. So I want to know what you guys think about this. If there's any sort of specific scenario you might think this would be a little bit more beneficial with. I know he's kind of given a couple scenario examples, and I don't think they really work too well for either of those. But if you guys think of some scenarios where it might be a little bit more beneficial, then definitely let me know. Because, again, I'm not trying to just completely, crap on somebody who's trying to innovate or come up with certain scenario or survival techniques. But I do want to give my opinion, especially if I think it's going to be detrimental to someone's survivability as opposed to, beneficial. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Again, this was a little bit different of a reaction video. And yeah, of course, we had the Halloween intro. So definitely stay tuned for the rest of these Halloween reactions. And yeah, if you guys, I know I kind of joked about it before, but yeah, if you guys aren't subscribed, definitely consider subscribing so you guys can get more of those Halloween intros. And yeah, I guess we can check out some more interesting videos like this and break them down in the future. And of course, if you guys have any recommendations, especially if anybody's trying to innovate tactics like he's trying to do here, then recommend those videos down below so we can check them out and try and, again, educate ourselves, maybe be a little bit open-minded, and maybe learn something. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. That's it for this one. I'll see you on the next one.